Freddie Freeman, who, man, I don't know, man. I see him walking around before the game. He just looks like he's in constant pain. Credit to him. He kind of takes the field every day. And I have a little headache and I can't type,
Hello and welcome back to Dodgers Debate. I'm Jack Harris, the LA Times Dodger beat writer, along with my deadline-weary, barely able to keep his eyes open columnist, Dylan Hernandez, who, as people noticed yesterday, Dylan, Plaschke is not here with us this trip. He only does the important games.
Right.
So you had to do the deadline column today. You had to fill Plaschke's shoes. And what a day to pick up the deadline column. And game one of the NLDS, when the Dodgers go down 3-0 early, it looks like it's all lost. This place, it felt like an earthquake. And then the Dodgers come back. They win 5-3. They take game one. And I ask you, how many times were you rewriting your lead tonight?
Yeah, so the first one was right after the second inning about the horror show.
Right, no show to horror show.
Horror show. Yeah, Ohtani the choking dog. And then we went, and then
choking dog.
And then we went to, they won despite that. And then we went to the end. I started writing even after they overcame all these things, they still lost because of the bullpen, which didn't come to fruition.
The bullpen with a starting pitcher on the mound.
The bullpen with the starting pitcher on the mound, But it was, it was like, I would have really enjoyed watching this game drinking beer or something, right? Like, this was not like a sports writer's dream. But it was a great game. You really think about this, right? You talk about like unexpected stuff happening. You got that like 3-inning kind of semi meltdown by Ohtani in the second, where you see the towels waving and the Shohei taunts, right? And then Teo.
It's hard to describe like how loud it was.
Yeah,
I haven't been doing playoff games with the Dodgers like 5 years now, and this is like louder than San Diego, louder than Oracle Park. Like, it's a different thing when this place has an inning like that happen.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Dodger fans, but these fans are like way louder than you, right? And you know what I liked about it too? What was kind of cool about it was as loud as they booed, and they boo really loud here.
From the minute Ohtani walked on the field for warm-up.
Right, yeah, they were booing that, right? Pre-game intros. By the end of it, they start chanting, "Let's go Phillies." You can't even hear the last few names being announced, but they cheered for their guys even louder than they booed, right? So it's not all coming from like a negative place, right? So Dodger fans, I'm guessing you guys are going to get out cheered here. But, you can give it the good old college try, right? Just like the Reds tried to beat the Dodgers.
The Dodgers have a 5,000-person advantage at Dodger Stadium. It's only like 45,000 people.
Yeah, but they're like too busy like trying to sneak in beach balls and stuff, I guess, right? And screaming when there's like a routine fly ball.
Now, I will say, for as loud as it was early, the silence when Teoscar Hernandez hits the 3-run homer to go ahead, even the nervous tension as the Dodgers started coming back, I think reflects some of like the stakes of the series, where you have a Phillies team that understands like its championship window is closing. If they're going to win a World Series, it's probably got to be with this team. Like, Kyle Schwarber's a free agent after the year. It made these big trade deadline acquisitions. JT Realmuto, who had the big triple tonight to break the game open early, is a free agent at the end of the year. This team needs to win. And on the other side, you have a Dodger team that even amid all of that, they stayed calm, they stayed settled, they continued to take good at-bats against Christopher Sanchez, who was just like lights out the first 5 innings. A lot of the players gave credit post-game to hitting coach Aaron Bates, who during the hitters meeting today told them, look, it's going to be loud early. Schwarber's probably going to hit an 800-foot bomb or something at some point that's going to make this place go nuts. But if you guys stay in your approach, if we continue to follow our plan, take good at-bats, we will have the lead at the end of the 7th inning.
That was really nice of you, by the way. So you text me while I'm in the press room waiting for Teoscar to come in. You text me, like, ask him about this meeting. So I asked him, like, hey, like I heard, Bates told you guys to stay calm and your moment will come late, whatever.
Yeah, how was his answer?
He laughed and he said, I don't remember. And that was what that was the first question of the press conference, by the way. So thank you.
His first 3 at bats, it looked like he maybe wasn't completely locked in on the hitters meeting, because him and Ohtani took some bad at bats. Yeah. Teoscar didn't cut the ball off in the gap early. Like, again, it felt like early on, like everything was going wrong. The guys at the top of the order weren't hitting. Ohtani's laboring on the mound because the second inning wasn't great. The third's better, but then there's guys on base in the 5th, and it just feels like, man, even if they get through these moments, they're going to have to ask so much out of the bullpen in this game. They're going to have to find a way to score some runs against what's a decent Phillies bullpen that can play matchups. But this is, going back to like last October, this is what drove that title run, is being in moments of adversity, whether it's within a game, in a series, because of injuries, whatever, and being able to respond to it in a way that so many teams before these last two have not. And I thought even the second game against the Reds, you saw that when Teoscar dropped the fly ball early, and it was like, man, this is the kind of game that you might let slip away. Like, it's going to be one of those really dumb losses. But the lineup, you have so many veteran hitters that, again, continue to stick with their plan. That the game flips tonight because Freddie Freeman draws the walk. Was that in the Kiké inning? Yeah, Freddie Freeman draws the walk. Tommy Edman goes the other way with a base hit. And then you get Kiké Hernandez up in a spot where he's facing a pitcher who's now starting to run out of gas, who's finally under some stress, who makes really one of his only mistakes of the night with this slider that's not even a bad pitch, but it just caught a little bit too much of the zone in that situation. He comes through with a double. That's when, within the dugout, guys could feel, okay, the floodgates have opened, and then they get into the bullpen.
But let's not forget, right, at the end of the day, and I hate people who use that phrase. I'm wondering if I even like myself now. But this is the most expensive collection of, like, talent in baseball, right? Sure. We can't forget that, and as much as, kind of from a, maybe a fan standpoint, even from, like, a media standpoint, right? I think there's some people who are, like, might have written, it's kind of all on Ohtani type of nonsense.
Oh,
who would have that been? You kind of don't forget that this is, right? I mean, Teoscar Hernandez is like an expensive player, right? He might not have had a great year, but he's an expensive player. All these guys are like very expensive, and they're kind of bound to kind of do something, to have moments like this. That's why they cost so much, right? Because they have a history of doing things like that. And so you can't ever quite write them off, and it's going to be kind of interesting again, I think.
Even though you wrote horror show as your lead in the third inning.
And so, like, now to me, the question, and to me, like, the way Dave Roberts managed his game, right, was really interesting. Because it sounded kind of like, if Glasnow had gone through that second inning clean, that he was just going to finish the game,
which
right?
Made sense.
Yeah, which would have made
4 days until he makes his start. He was coming off a week like that. Would have lined up really well.
And with the kind of the off days and stuff, right? I can see them filling in the innings maybe in this series, right? You're going to have Kershaw in the pen, right? I mean, and again, like, right? I mean, game 2, it's coming after a day off, so Bessie is going to be available, Sasaki will be available, without you having to kind of worry about what's going to come ahead of that. I still do have kind of questions long term. Can they win 2 more series after this?
Especially longer series.
Right, longer series. Exactly. But you look at, like, kind of the quality of the lineup that they're facing here, and kind of the intensity of the crowd, right? I mean, I've called that, that cookie cutter, retractable roof stadium in Milwaukee, right? The Monastery, because their fans are so old, right? They're all like Plaschke's age. And they clap really loud for like 5 seconds, and then it just dies, right? It doesn't matter like what happens. I just remember the last time we were there, they scored a few runs, there's a big home run or something. Everybody's going crazy for like 10 seconds, but it dies really quickly. This crowd doesn't die, right? And so, again, like from like an intimidation type of standpoint, and as unflappable Ohtani has been, you did feel that all that was kind of starting to get to him a little bit, right? That inning sped up on him. And his kind of solution to this, I don't know if you noticed, was kind of reach back and let me try to throw harder, right?
But he threw it down the middle.
He threw it down the middle, right? And so, like, this kind of got to him. But this might be unique to this stadium here. Outside of maybe,
I don't know, because it's the size of it. It's
right.
Like the configuration of, like,
yeah, it's got these very kind of like jagged.
It's almost like the
feels like a box.
It's almost like the CenturyLink field, or whatever they call it now, the Lumen field of MLB. Like, just the way the noise plays here. Again, like, it's a different kind of field.
Right, and you have like a group of fans that live in a crappy city, who have nothing else to do, whose entire existence centers around.
I was guessing Dodger fans are going to get tired of us talking about how great the Philly crowd is. So
right, all they have are the Phillies and the Eagles here, because the 76ers might as well fold, But this is like a really kind of challenging environment. The fact that they were going to have to steal a game here to win this series. They got the win here. Now they're kind of sitting in pretty good position. They're going to have, Blake Snell go in game 2.
Yep.
They're going to have Yamamoto game 3. I kind of like where they're sitting right now.
And the one thing I'll say about, as it pertains to the later series, if they do advance, because you're right, like, you can win this series pitching-wise in a way you probably can't in the future rounds. what's important about right now and like important moments tonight is that Alex Vesia comes in and gets a big out in a big spot with the bases loaded. Roki Sasaki comes in, pitches another spectacular ninth inning to get his first technical save. And I think if you're the Dodgers, your hope is that over this series, you can get through it with his pitching plan, but you can also build some momentum from the relievers in the pen. Because even in this series, like guys like Vesia and Trinan and maybe Tanner Scott even are going to be put in situations where they're going to have to make pitches. And if you can come out of this series, again, like it's going to be tough. You still got to win 2 more games. They still have good pitching over there, but you already won a game in which Christopher Sanchez pitched, which if you saw him pitch tonight, like that's a really tough guy to win a game against, especially when he pitches well. So to get that win, to be able to get some momentum for guys. And yeah, like with the lineup, like when you talk about the payroll and everything, like you're buying as much as the talent and everything else, you're buying like that veteran composure.
Yeah, and we saw, Mookie kind of get to some right field, some like kind of hard hit balls at him. Freddie Freeman, who, man, I don't know, man. Like, I see him walking around before the game. He just looks like he's in constant pain. Credit to him. He kind of takes the field every day and, he goes up there and has like really good at bats, right?
He had really good at bats. He was the one guy that I think was consistently kind of stressing Sanchez.
I have a little headache and I can't type, This guy, I don't know. He looks like he's got a million things wrong with him, right? I mean, he does not, and yet he's kind of going out there and he's finding ways to hit like high 90s velocity.
It was a big sequence tonight was like in the 7th inning, Max Muncy has that rocket hit at him and makes a great play, but then there's a throwing error on the throw, and then he bounces back, starts a double play at the end of the inning. Like, those are the little things, right. But especially down the stretch in this game, for as ugly as that second inning was, including, again, Teoscar Hernandez, like, doesn't cut the ball off, and that leads to another run scoring because Real Muto gets to third. And to have things like that go wrong and to be able to regroup in this environment, put together the at-bats you need to, put together the defense you need to, and then have the pitching kind of back it up. And I'll say, like, credit to Ohtani for himself bouncing back from that inning. He retired 10 in a row. He got out of the jam in the 5th. He gave him another inning in the 6th when Vesia was warming up then. Like, if you have to use Vesia then that 8th inning is a whole different story. Then they got all the pieces to fit together in the right way.
And I think kind of one thing, right, this little kind of anecdote about, one of the Japanese reporters asked Ohtani, like, why did you show bunt? And my immediate reaction was like, why are you wasting a question on that?
Because all he did before was strike out.
Yeah, no, and it turned out that basically Roberts had asked him to buy some time for Roki Sasaki to get warmed up, right? And, you talk about kind of like little things like that, like he understood the situation. I mean, it wasn't a great day for him, right? This is not, when you kind of talk about Shohei Ohtani's memorable games, and in one way, this was a historic game and that this was his first postseason game as a two-way player.
And then it was also historic because it was his 7th strikeout game of his career.
Right, and no one's going to remember this performance, right? It was very kind of like blah. Like if you came here just with the sole intent of watching Ohtani, it's kind of disappointing. But he understood that wasn't what he was playing for right now, right? He was playing to win this game, and if it required him to show bunt and take a pitch there, he was going to show bunt and take a pitch.
Game 2 will be on Monday. Dodgers get Blake Snell going against Jesus Luzardo, which is probably advantage Dodgers. I mean, Jesus Luzardo is probably the weakest link of this Philly rotation. And yeah, like you said, I think.
One thing, by the way, I wanted to mention, now that I think about it, one thing I was going to kind of include in the first thing was that I was right that Ohtani should have pitched in the wild card game when it wasn't going well early in my Forest Show column.
Yeah, and why is that?
It's because then had he pitched in the wild card, he wouldn't have had to pitch today.
No, it would have beat the crap. And it would have been
right. And it would have been selfish.
Completely inflecting your whole argument and logic. Well, it worked out.
It's part of the job, Jack. You'll learn one day.
From Showtime to Horror Show to... Look, I had to rewrite my lead, too. I was writing about earthquakes and knockout blows earlier.
Yeah.
No, instead, the Dodgers bounce back from it all. They win 5-3. They take Game 1. They're 2 wins away from going to the NLCS.
And read Bill Shaken and Kevin Baxter tomorrow at LATimes.com. They were not on deadline, so they're crafting some. They're actually taking their time to think of stuff.
Surprise stories. All right, we'll see you on Monday.